yes, hi, and welcome to the Dark Knight Conspiracies, episode 45. Pork, it's what's for dinner. So we've had another exciting week out there. We saw they finally passed the COVID stimulus bill, and boy, you want to talk about pork for dinner and pork spending, boy, that's it. Senator Kennedy famously commented on passing this bill is thinking the stripper actually likes you. Oh, folks, I'm gonna give you a link and you can do your own research on it, but I'll give you a quick breakdown of what's in this. Yeah, okay, everybody's getting under $75,000. They're getting $1,400 stimulus checks again. But if you just take the amount of money, $1.9 trillion, divide it by the amount of people in the country, that would equate to $6,000 per person. 90% of this bill has nothing to do with COVID, and why would we expect anything less from the Democrats? It's mind-blowing, and again, for people that want to sit there and blame, the Democrats, Congress in general, both sides, for hiding things. These bills have been like this for decades. The problem is, the media don't tell you everything that's in them. And the only way you're going to find out is to go on the government website, pull up the bill, and you're actually going to have to spend some time reading it. Most people don't have the time or don't want to spend the energy, but yet they'll be the first ones out there complaining, why is all this money going here? Why all is this money going there? Again, they're not hiding anything, people. They post these bills out there. If you don't want to go up there and look to see what they're spending our taxpayer dollar money on, well, that's up to you, and you don't have no right to complain after the fact. Because we do have, if you knew what was going into these bills, most people don't think it matters, but you do have the ability to call your congressmen and senators and complain. Believe me, they get enough calls. They fear the people. Why do you think there's a fence around D.C. right now? Why do you think there's a National Guard in D.C. right now? They're afraid. So I'm going to pull up, and I'll leave all the links in the description as always. So here's the bill. And it's on a congress.gov website. And you can click on each one of these links. Now, just to show you how complicated these bills are, I want you to look at all these sections. Each section is something different. Look how long this list goes. This is where all the money is being spent. You got to actually go in and read every single one of these. This is how they inundate you with not even bothering looking this stuff up. So, the information's in here. I'll give you a quick breakdown. There's bailouts for all the Democrat-run states and governors. California, San Francisco, New York, Michigan, probably Portland's in there, Minnesota. All our money is going to bail out these states because they poorly ran their states during this pandemic. And what they're doing is they're taking all the money from all the red states that did things right by keeping their economies going, not shutting down their restaurants and everything. They're taking all that tax dollars and giving it to the people that just shut us down. I mean, if you're not woke by now, you're not going to get woke. I don't know what else to tell you people. So we actually, unemployment benefits extended again. You're paying people to stay home. Makes absolutely no sense. People are going to get $1,400. Okay, fine and dandy. It'll be gone in 2 days. With lotteries and instant tickets and all this other stuff that Democrat cities do. There's a provision in here. Prisoners are going to get the $1,400. Think about that. Since when are they entitled to a bailout? They're in jail. Money's going for schools so that they can reopen safely. Well, how can you reopen when you're not even opening them to begin with? Why are they getting money for something that's not even open yet? Because they refuse, the teacher unions refuse to open these schools. Now here's a good kicker. This is for government employees only. 14-week paid leave if your child is remote learning. That's just for government workers. I mean, if this stuff doesn't get your blood boiling, you gotta start voting. Your local government, school boards, got to get involved and start voting these people out. Farm loan assistance for socially disadvantaged. What the hell does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. You get money if you ain't white. That's what that means. I'm not picking on a certain race or creed here. But this is what they're doing with dividing us. Since when do we decide who's socially disadvantaged and who isn't? We're Americans. We're all immigrants. We all came from another country other than the United States, with the exception of, the Indians, which, we massacred when we came over here and took their land, but I'm not going to get into that. Because, according to some people, this is our country. We own it. Well, there were people here before us. So I'm not going to go down that tirade. Snap. More welfare programs. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Oh. Here we go. Here's all the school stuff. $10,000 forgiveness debt for student loans. That's a beauty. These people aren't learning anything anyway, except how to be communists. Oh, endowment for the arts. Museum of Library Services. Fantastic. There's all your child care stuff. Then you got some COVID related stuff, but it's all towards vaccine activities. And we're going to get into that just briefly, because I'm just going to, and again, you can go through this if you want to take the time. I suggest you do it. You need to know where your money is being spent. So getting into the whole, COVID stuff, and, I just want to bring this up. We lost a great one yesterday. Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And you can see what happened. I believe Hank Aaron, same thing. They got a couple things in common. Connect the dots. So now that they got this COVID bill out of the way, and Biden just made a tremendous, uplifting speech on Thursday. Is about as dark as walking into a closet and shutting the door. And on top of it, threats. If everybody behaves themselves, we might be able to open by July 4th. Well, what happens if we don't behave? Sounds like they got something else up their sleeve. So now that they got this out of the way, what are we focusing on now? What do you think the next thing is? Here we go. Coming after the guns, folks. Our constitutional rights. They're just taken. At what point do you people start waking up and having your freedoms constantly taken away from you? They did it through the whole last year. And they do it through fear. So they're going to put these bills out there. If you look up and research in the past, they've tried these bills before. The minute they pass one house and get on the desk of the other, lo and behold, what happens? We have what's called an event. Do the research. You know what I'm getting at. I got to be careful here. So now we're going to get into some conspiracy theory, and I came across this doing some research, and I thought it was interesting because it's one of these conspiracy topics like the Mothman, the Devil of Jersey, and there's the lizard people of LA. You know, there's all the chupacabra down in Mexico and southern countries. All this Bigfoot, all these fascinating topics you can go down a rabbit hole and have some fun with. But I thought this was interesting. This was an article published from the LA Times back in 1934. Lizard People's Catacomb City Hunted. I mean, they're literally acknowledging these things existed. And if you scroll through, you can read the article. They even show the underground tunnels and cities underneath LA. Now, some people transcribe this to what we call nowadays as DUMBs, which are deep underground military bases and cities. Folks, do your research. These things do exist. There are plenty of photos, articles out there that show you just how fast they can drill these holes. This stuff's been going on back to the 1900s, maybe earlier than that. Some have attributed all this earthquake action around the world that the White Hats Alliance are the ones actually going around and they're destroying these things. They're blowing them up underground. Because this is where, when they started World War III, this was the plan. This is where they would all go into hiding until the smoke cleared. Woo-woo stuff. Again, disclaimer. I'm not saying this is fact. I'm just putting out open source information that anybody can look up. You make your own decision on whether it's fake or not. I'm just here to point it out there and have some fun with it. Now, I want to take this down to another lane, and I've said this before on previous shows. You know, the Lord gave Satan two weaknesses. He had no power over life and death, and he had to publicly disclose what he was doing. Now, they're very tricky in how they do that, and I'm going to lead some examples. It goes back to one of the ways they do this is through movies. I've brought this up before. Through TV. I'll give you some examples going back to the 70s. If you saw, I brought this up before, if you saw the movie Coma, it was about organ harvesting. Charlton Heston was in a movie called Soylent Green. The movie was about, they were literally rounding up people in bulldozers on the streets and turning them into food, crackers. Another one is another Charlton Heston. Not sure why he chose to do these movies, but maybe he didn't really understand what was going on. Another one's called The Omega Man. Was about the fallout after a nuclear war. And the people that were affected by the radiation or virus, as they described it in the movie, these people lived in darkness. They couldn't come out in the light. So he would go out during the daytime and round up his supplies. And he knew he had to get back in before sundown, because that's when they came out. In reference to this, it made me think of a movie I saw in the 80s called Chud. And it just so happened it was about another somewhat radiation fallout of people. And they went and lived in the sewers of LA because of how deformed and grotesque they were. And it was just a movie about, they would come out at night and kill people, the horror movies. And then the good guys would go into the sewers and hunt them down. So that's why I bring this article up. And lastly, I'm going to leave you with a video I suggest you listen to. And I recommend, after you get done listening to it, I want you to open your eyes and take a look around you in the world, in this country, and tell me everything that is said in this video hasn't already happened. And I can't play the whole thing. It's short. It's only a 3-minute video, but I'll get copyright violations and a strike. But I'm just going to play just a couple 30 seconds of it.
If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have 1/3 of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States.
And I'll leave it at that, folks. And I'll leave the link, and you can watch it for yourself. So that's the show for today. As always, stay safe, stay strong, stay vigilant. Pray with the Lord. Do not give up hope, for He is the only hope we have. And until next time, same bat time, same bat channel.